Good morning, we're back. Good afternoon and good evening. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat, magandang hapon at magandang gabi. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches to all of you. Welcome to the very first lesson of the Automotive Repair and Maintenance Academy. This is our automotive service and repair presentation today. And the course outline or syllabus is, my name is Wilfredo Reyes and I want to share with you my credentials. I was given the honor to teach in the Bachelor of to teach in school by the University of Hawaii with a Bachelor of Education degree, and also I have an Associate Science in Automotive Technology at the University of Hawaii. My email, I will be your instructor today. And fredbabyclamps@gmail.com is my email for automotive related messages. And also my cell phone is 909-470-9072. And the subject is how to use basic hand tools and not get hurt while using them. And the logic or why we are even starting to learn how to use basic hand tools, it's because many people get hurt using basic hand tools. And according to OSHA, the statistics on people getting hurt are over 1 million people just using basic hand tools because they're not practicing safety procedures to protect themselves from getting hurt. Also, the process, I will show you all the basic hand tools in a few minutes and succeeding videos how to use them properly. And you could to test your knowledge, you could role play with your dad, with your uncle, with your brother, with your sister, with your cousins on how to name the tools and then show them how you could use them properly and not get hurt. At the end of this course or presentation, anyone who watched this all the way to the end will learn how to use and name basic hand tools so that you could do basic repairs on your cars that can be done by both men and women and teenagers and older people alike. We promote equal learning opportunities on my channel or channels. And also, I thank you for watching this video until the end. And I would like to ask you to please click like or thumbs up and subscribe the notification bell so that you will get notified every time I upload a new video. And please make a short comment as to how you like this presentation and what else you would like to see in the future. Okay? And in a few minutes we'll go to the next segments of our presentation. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What you see right now on the video are the safety equipment that we need to start working on cars. First, you have to have safety glasses to protect your eyes from getting poked and losing your eyesight. Then you have to have earplugs or earmuffs, as you can see on the video. And then you have face shields And then you have hard hats for when you're cutting branches for safety. And you have Caterpillar steel toe shoes. And that's what I have. And I find them comfortable and reasonable for $84. I have mine for almost 3 years now. And they are still working good. And also you have safety goggles for $7 on the foreground here that I bought from Harbor Freight or Lowe's or Home Depot. Safety glasses also, earplugs, leather gloves, and we have, if you can get this auto repair and maintenance for beginners, it's made by Dave Sterling. And also the auto service and repair by Martin W. Stockel, and also probably his brother Martin T. Stockel. That's what I used when I went to automotive school in Hawaii, auto service and repair by the Stockel brothers. And I have a listing of personal safety equipment needed not to get hurt. We need eyeglasses, earmuffs, steel-toe shoes, hard hats, machinist apron, disposable coveralls, gloves, basically leather, and also disposable nitrile gloves to not get grease and dirt on your hands and fingers. Note the total, as you could see there, is $136. I asked, is your life worth more than this? I said, of course. You can't afford to spend $136. Never work around your cars without these tools. And this is the basic information about tools. And we will proceed in a few seconds on how to use basic hand tools. We are back. Again, before we proceed, I would like to show you, do not do any repair or maintenance on your personal cars if you are tired. Don't do anything when you are tired, when you're sleepy, when you're drunk, or on a strong prescribed medication. Your glucose level is very low. Very importantly is when you're in love. Just kidding. Because they say people in love, sometimes their mind is not there concentrating on what they're doing. So just kidding. And also, if you're not feeling well or mad at something, and my cousin Homer said to say that if you are rushing, don't do it. Never rush doing repairs and maintenance on cars. You could get hurt. Okay? And that's the most important thing. Don't do all of this if you're not well. Because when you're doing personal repair and maintenance on your car, you should be happy that you could do it without getting hurt. And we will go to the next segment right away. Hello, I'm back. And we are going to explain to you all the basic hand tools, starting with combination box and open end wrenches, adjustable wrenches, piping wrenches and also crescent wrenches or adjustable wrenches, and we used to call them water pump pliers. But first, let me just go ahead of this little item that I want for you to answer, if you could. And if you know the answer for this DIRTFT, I'll send you a gold bullion. Just kidding. And also what it means. Anybody knows what it means? You could get a free pass to all of my school, which is already free. Just kidding. Okay? So before we do anything in automotive repairing and maintenance, we've got to remember this dirt foot. I learned this when I went to have my franchise in MCO transmission. Okay, I'll go on this side and write to you what the meaning of dirt foot. And listen and you remember it. This is do it right the first time. Isn't that wonderful? If you can do your job, do it right the first time. You save a lot of time, money, and material and your labor. And just like in carpentry, they say measure twice and cut once, instead of measuring once and cutting 3 or 4 different times before you get the right measurement. So remember that. Do it right the first time. By doing it right the first time is being careful to do things in sequence. Whenever you do something, you take a photograph of the items of the 2 different sides, left and right. If you're working on brakes, you take photograph of the right side, photographs of the left brakes, and you just work on one side at a time. So if you forget what you're doing on the right side, you could look at the left side and compare them. Okay. First of all, I mentioned about the personal safety equipment needed not to get hurt while enjoying your personal repair on your cars. You got to have eyeglasses like this. You need to protect your eyesight so you don't get blinded or get poked in the eye and lose your eyesight. And then again, you need to have steel-toe shoes. These steel-toe shoes, I bought them 3 years ago and they are still working good. And they are steel-toe over here. And you don't get hurt. Even if you drop a hollow block in here, it's not going to get hurt. Don't wear sandals, slippers, and all kinds of barefoot working on your car. It's dangerous. Don't take chances or your life's in danger. And you need a hard hat when you're cutting branches so they don't fall down on your head. And also you need earplugs for noises. Power tools generate a lot of noise and it could you could damage your hearing. And also you got to have disposable gloves so you don't get scrapes and dirt all over your hands. And leather gloves when working with next to a hot radiator or exhaust pipe. You need all of this. Face shield. You need face shield to protect your eyesight when you're chiseling pieces of metals. And also caustic gloves. These are, if you're working with acid or battery, you should have this type of caustic gloves. You don't get chemically burned. Like when you're cleaning your driveways, you have to have this when you're handling the acid or anything caustic to burn your hands or your body chemically. And also you have to have a machinist apron. You could put it on and protect yourself from dirt, grease, oil, and all kinds of liquid when you're changing oil. And also you need to have also earmuffs and the earplugs. And also you could have, you could go to buy Levi's. You could buy Levi's coveralls, and it will protect your clothing and your body from dirt and other hot items. And in cold weather, you could have jacket like this when working outside. I guess we covered all of those items necessary. This is a goggle I bought from Home Depot or Lowe's, $7. And you need eyeglasses, eye shield, shatterproof, possible, $7. Earmuffs, $15. Steel toe shoes, $70 to $84. This about $84. They're 3 years old, still working good. And then you have hard hat for falling objects, like that one there, and disposable coveralls. You could buy the white one from Harbor Freight. You could buy one for $7 and you could use it over and over for probably about 3 or 4 times, as long as you be careful with it. And gloves, leather if possible, so you don't get burned with the exhaust manifolds and hot radiator. And then you have disposable nitrile gloves that protect you from grease and dirt. And then I said, no, is your life worth more than the 136 totals of this safety equipment that you need to protect yourself and enjoy working on your personal cars? And this basic hand tools uses for men and women and teenagers 13 years old and above. And also men are good at mechanics, and there are also even better women mechanics. Sometimes they do better job than men, and that's true. Like if you watch the YouTube, there are 3 young ladies who are overhauling engine and rebuilding the whole classic cars. They are on YouTube, and they are very good women mechanics. And of course you could spend more than your life is worth more than $136. I would invest that if you are thinking of fixing your personal cars, or maybe someday you want to be a professional mechanic. You start your own business, and maybe you have your own tune-up shop or brake facility. You could specialize in the brake job alone, or you could specialize in air conditioning alone. But you got to learn the basic safety equipment first, and then the basic hand tools. And of course, never work around your cars without these tools. Thank you. And now I would explain to you what these tools are. These are combination wrenches. This is what I'm back again, and we will discuss about combination wrenches. These are combination wrenches, combination box wrench, and an open end. So these are still called combination wrenches because one is box. They call that box wrench because it's almost like a circle box, and this one is an open end, and this is a combination open end wrench. Both are open end but different sizes. This is a 11/16 and this is a 3/4, and this is a combination wrenches of box wrench. One is a 1 3/8 and a 1 1/8, so that's a good size. And before I forget, never push on a tool to loosen a nut or a bolt like this. In order to loosen a nut or bolt, you don't push on a tool this way, because if it suddenly, you put a lot of pressure, and then when it loosens so suddenly, you hit your knuckle right on the sharp objects here. What you do is, in order to loosen a bolt, instead of pushing this way, because once it gets loosened so suddenly, you will hit your knuckles on the sharp metals around here. What you would do is pull on a tool. You pull towards you. When you pull it like this, if it gives so suddenly, it'll stop because it's pulling towards you and never pushing on the tool. Because if it suddenly gives, you get your knuckles scraped all over the place. Same thing with these tools. Never ever loosen a very sharp, a very tightly torqued bolt by pushing on it. If it suddenly loosen up, you could get all your fingers crushed by sharp objects or metals, and you could get cuts and get infected. In other words, if you are going to loosen it, go the other side and pull on it. If it gives, you have your body to protect you, like that. And also on the wrenches, never you use an adjustable wrench this way, by pulling this way. Never use it this way, because this little piece here is the sliding portion that goes up and down, and it's the weakest part of this tool. The strongest portion is this piece over here. So when you're tightening it, you go this way. Never use it this way, because what you're going to do is ruin this little piece, because it's so weak, and it's an adjustable spiral screw over here, and it will break suddenly, and this will become useless. So always use these tools, adjustable wrenches, with the big portion here this way, never this way. And of course you got to use the proper tool accordingly. On this little screw, you wouldn't be using this, right? It's it's not logical to use this giant tool for this miniature little nut. Use the appropriate tool. Maybe this one might work for this little work here. And you loosen it up this way by pulling on it. Like that. Never push like this, because a big bolt will just suddenly give and you get all your knuckles all get hurt. So use this portion of the tool that is the strongest. This is the weakest portion. Okay? Same thing with this. You use this one way, this way. It will grip. But if you use it the other way, it will just keep sliding. It's not going to bite. But if you use it properly, as you can see, I cannot hold it because it's very strong. Those are the way you use the tools. And never push to loosen. Always pull on the tool to tighten and to loosen. Never push on a tool. All right. I know someone who was trying to remove a spark plug one time. And hello. This is the section where we discuss about pneumatic impact wrenches, hand tools, pneumatic ratchet, impact sockets, adapters, torque wrenches, and also breaker bars, dip sockets, and shallow sockets. These are all special tools that are used in loosening torqued bolts. Impact sockets like Chicago pneumatic, it's operated by air pressure, and also impact ratchet operated by air also. And I have on the foreground some limiting or clicking torque wrenches, and also a 3/8 drive torque wrench that's measured in inch-pound torque wrench. We got foot-pounds and inch-pound torque wrench. And these are all specialty tools, and I will discuss with you each and every one of them. I'll go in the front in a few seconds. Hello, and we are back. For the safety, when you're working on your cars, make sure the first thing you do is have a fire extinguisher nearby, because you never know that any fire could start anytime. At least one of this next to you or in your direct line of eyesight, you have a fire extinguisher to stop any small fires. And also, you have to have work lights. You have to have LED lanterns with magnetic, so you could put it on the hood of the car so you could see what you're doing, or you could buy a drop light that's with LED and not the regular light bulbs that are very hot that could also burn you. And so now we're going to talk about impact sockets, impact gun, and wrenches. This is a set of impact sockets. They're made to withstand impact when you're using an impact wrench. And make sure when you're using an impact wrench, you have an ear protection, and you could use an impact gun to loosen or tighten nuts and bolts. And you could also use a 3/8 drive ratchet, and you could use regular sockets, not necessarily impact. But if you have impact sockets, you could use it. You have to have this is a 3/8 drive, and you could use it to loosen nuts and bolts. And this impact gun over here is 1/2 inch drive. This is 1/2 inch. And when you're removing your lug nuts on your tires, you use this impact sockets because they don't break. And that's one of the convenient of removing tight bolts, nuts and bolts. And also you have extensions. These are extensions of 1/2 inch drive, 1/2 inch drive extension, and you could have long extension, and this is about 1 foot 1/2 inch drive extension. And then you have a 3/8 drive long extension. You have a 6 inch. These are all extension of 3/8 drive, and that are used with a 3/8 drive ratchet. And you have a 1/2 inch ratchet. And then you have a 1/4 inch ratchet. And this is a 3/4 extension. And it's a 1/2 inch drive. And this is a 1/2 inch drive also. These are 3/4. Those are 1/2, 3/4. And then you have regular sockets. And do not use this with impact gun because they are not as strong and they will crack and render them useless. And also you have basic sockets that could be used with just basic hand ratchet. This is a combination ratchet with a 1/4 inch drive and a 3/8 drive. And you could get inexpensive tools like this and they will work. These are basic sockets that you could buy. And also you have screwdrivers. And screwdrivers are not meant to cut wood or to be hammered. Some people, they use them to hammer things, and this thing will crack and will become useless also. When you're loosening very, very tight bolts, you use a breaker bar. This will loosen very tight bolts or nuts that are torqued according to the manufacturer's recommendation. And never use extensions on ratchet like this and put a tube over here and use it. It will break this tool. Never use what they call a cheater bar. it's a piece of tube that you put here about maybe 2 feet long, and you use to loosen tools, this will break. Okay, use a breaker bar to loosen things. You pull toward you to loosen a nut or a bolt. You pull this way. Never loosen a bolt or nut this way. That's no good. Okay, so use a torque wrench according to their intended purposes. And we have torque wrenches, and they are in foot-pound and Newton metrics for European cars. In American cars, they call them SAE, Standard American Equipment. So you have foot-pound, and also on the other side is a Newton metric. And never use this. Remember, never use a torque wrench to loosen a bolt. Never. Because it will ruin the mechanism inside here, and pretty soon you don't get the right torque when the company that made the car said you got to torque it 120 foot-pound, and maybe it will only now register 100, because if you use it to loosen nuts and bolts, and that's a no-no. Don't do that. And this is a clicking torque wrench right here. When you reach the certain amount of pressure, it will click. So never use a torque wrench to loosen a nut or a bolt. Okay, and this is an inch-pound torque wrench. It has a dial. You got to put it on the 0 before you do a job. And this is a 3/8 drive. And you tighten it. You could use it on spark plugs with an extension, or with a short extension. You could use it and put the spark plug socket here. Most spark plugs are tightened about 20 inch-pound. So once you see the 20, stop. That's the most you could tighten a spark plug. All right, and also, as I said, never use gasoline to clean automotive parts. It's dangerous. It could set a fire, or it could explode because of the fumes and the vapor of the gasoline. Never use it for cleaning parts. And now we have also hammers. Hammers are, you have a basic ball peen hammer. This is a ball peen hammer. It has a metal here for pinning rivets. You could put a rivet on a hole, and you could pound them so that they will flare and they will never come out later. And you could use this also on with a chisel. And make sure you have eye protection when you're using a ball peen hammer or any hammer that will strike the chisel, cold chisel, because you could lose your eyesight. As I know, a co-worker used to work without his eyeglasses or protective eye protection. On a left front axle, he was trying to remove a bearing that has dried up because of no more grease inside, and it was squealing so bad it got almost welded to the spindle. This is the spindle, the one in green. And then the tapered bearing is there, so he tried to chisel it, like this, and one of the roller bearing went into his left eye, inside his eyeball, and the doctor could not save his eye, so he ended up having a glass eye. So you cannot afford to take chances without safety precaution. You have to have a face shield, safety glasses that don't break, and also if you lose your eyesight, you will not enjoy and appreciate the beautiful world that we live in. You won't see your wife or girlfriend with your blind eye, or your children, grandchildren. And if you love art, you won't even appreciate Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. That's a beautiful painting of a woman. And every time I look at her, it's just like telling me she knows something that I don't know. So anyhow, make sure you have eye protection, and when you're removing a tapered bearing that is stuck, almost welded to the spindle, make sure you have eye protection, and then you could use to hammer that. Okay, and then also we have rubber mallets, combination rubber mallets, so that it doesn't damage your, maybe trying to remove your brake drums or your rotors or your brakes or your calipers. And you have rubber mallet also when you're working on your table, trying to put or assemble a table together, or a bed frame. You could hammer this, use this to assemble the metals. And also you have what they call a dead blow hammer. These dead blow hammers, they don't bounce back, because you don't want, they have some kind of shotgun shells inside, just like BB guns inside, so that when you go like this, all those BB guns push the handle or push the rubber mallet down without bouncing back, because it's what they call a dead blow hammer. So use this when you're assembling furniture, making your own DIY home project. Use a dead blow hammer, removing tires or stuck backing plate of your brake assembly. And also you could use this hammer for not damaging the body of a car or any metal. And then you have lineman's pair of pliers. They call them lineman's pair of pliers is because they are insulated. They have a handle that is insulated. Even if you cut electric wires, it doesn't electrocute you. And it has also little wire strippers built in. And you have also to crimp wire they call them to crimp the terminals, so they don't come out after you crimp them there. So this is what they call a lineman's pair of pliers. And this is a long nose. They call them long nose because it has a long nose. And also, this is a wood chisel that you use to cut wood or make holes, and not use any regular screwdriver to cut holes on a piece of wood, because when you keep pounding on this, this handle will break and render it useless. And also, for all the tools that you've been investing, make sure you get what they call an engraver. This is a Craftsman. This is a Craftsman engraver with replaceable tip. It marks your tools so that you don't lose them. Even if they get mixed with your friend's toolbox, you could still identify them. It goes like this. And you could type your name. Like, for example, I could write Wilfredo Reyes, like that. I put my name on this, like this. Mark your tools so that you could identify your tools even if they get mixed with your friend's toolbox. Okay? And also, the vice grips. Regular vice grips are like this. They're locking so that pieces of material that you're working on do not separate until you put the nut or the bolt properly. And this is a long nose vice grip. And this is what they call a duckbill vice grip that will put two pieces together without separating. Like that. Or you could put two pieces of aluminum wire and clamp them together. This is what they call the duckbill vice grip, locking vice grip. And then you have, for your investment, I was told by a person working at Home Depot that this 270 pieces toolbox is on sale probably during Father's Day, and instead of $199, they are $99 at Home Depot in about a week, or maybe even now. Today is the 25th of May, which is Saturday. So the brand is Husky, and they have a lifetime warranty on them. So this is one of the choices that you could have. There are many brands. They got Milwaukee, Snap-ons, and Husky, and many different brands that you could invest. And this is only $99 on sale at Home Depot. For 270 pieces, that's very good price. It has sockets like this. It has combination wrenches, open end and box wrench. It has pair of pliers, got ratchet and screwdrivers. And also, before I forget, this is a special tool. If you are checking the distributor of a car, which is the basic engine that we used to know in the 60s until the 70s, this is a distributor. To loosen this distributor, you have to put this on a bolt on this side and loosen it. So this is what they call a 9/16 and a 1/2 inch distributor wrench. So you need this to loosen and adjust your timing, the timing of the engine, spark timing. That's what they call the spark timing, so that it sparks at the right interval of the timing sequence. Sometimes it'll say 12 degrees before top dead center. So you mark your pulleys on your engine crankshaft pulley And then there's a little piece of metal with incremental measurement in there. If you could, then you find 12-inch, you mark it white, and you mark the pulley, mark it white, and then you get your timing light. And then once this thing is loose a little bit, you just rotate it a little bit to get the right timing with your timing light. Okay, so this is the final segment of our presentation, and I hope you learn a lot today about safety. And make sure when you work, you have to have all of the safety equipment necessary. And you have to have, remember, you have to have eyeglasses, shatterproof, $7. You could buy them from Home Depot or Lowe's or Harbor Freight. And then you have ear muffs, $15. I think it's worth saving your hearing. And then you have steel-toe shoes from $70 to $84. I bought the Caterpillar steel-toe shoes and they are still good today. And then you have to have hard hat so that when you cut trees or go under the car, no heavy object falls on your head and cut you in the head. And also you have to have a machinist apron or coveralls, or you could go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Harbor Freight and buy the disposable white plastic or almost like paper material that you could throw away. For $7, you could use it probably 3 or 4 times, being careful not to rip them apart. And also you have disposable coveralls, and then you have gloves, leather gloves, so that you don't get burned by the hot radiator or the exhaust pipes. And also disposable nitrile gloves like this on my hands. You save grease and scrapes every once in a while. And also you could invest. Your life is worth more than $136. If you are thinking of becoming a good repair specialist with your personal car, maybe someday you want to specialize and become a professional shop owner. You could own your shop just doing brakes alone and survive. Or you could specialize in air conditioning. Or you could specialize in transmission like I did when I bought the AMCO transmission franchise, because I used to overhaul automatic transmission, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Ford, and all those basic automatic transmission and standard transmission. And I used to repair differentials also, rebuild the differential, the ring and pinion, adjust them properly. So you could specialize in many departments of the automotive technology. Brake is one example. You could specialize in cutting brake drums and cutting rotors and replacing brake pads or brake shoes. And that concludes our presentation today, and I hope you learn. As I said, women are also good technicians and professional mechanics, sometimes even better than men. Excuse me for saying that, which is true, my friends. There are a lot of them who can overhaul a diesel engine. If you watch the YouTube, you could see all kinds of nationalities, women They overhaul diesel engines without much of the tools that I have here. They have basic hand tools and they overhaul diesel engines. I've seen that on the YouTube. Okay? So hopefully you will become so good and enjoy working on your cars and maintaining them so that they last longer and be reliable. Make sure you carry flashlight in your car. You carry a tire gauge so that you could check your tire pressure at least once a week and know how to check if the tire treads are still good or not. And then you could invest in a basic voltmeter to check your battery or your alternator if it's charging. And later on, when you become so good, you could invest on because there are many more internal combustion engines. As we know today, we have a lot of electrical vehicles. They call them EVs. But we still have a lot of internal combustion engines that are still running, and you need what they call a voltmeter, a dual tach voltmeter. In other words, it checks the tachometers, checks the RPM, it checks the voltage of your battery, and it checks the dwell, how long a points of a distributor remains open. That's the dwell. So if you have this, I use it to check my alternator. Every once in a while, I just hook these two, one to the negative and one to the positive. If it's measuring 13 and a quarter or 13 and a half volts, that means your alternator is charging. If it's below 12, if it's only 10, that means your alternator is not charging the battery. So it's time to take your car to a professional mechanic to verify if your alternator needs to be changed. But if you put this on a running car and the voltage on your battery, across your battery, positive and negative, if it shows 13 volts and a quarter or 13 volts and a half, that means it's good. And you don't need to change your alternator. But if your battery is just measuring 10 when it's not running, that means it's being discharged in one of the cells. You have 6 cells inside the battery, and maybe one of the cells is dead, not working, or what they call sulfated. When it's sulfated, it has a lot of gunk inside already, and it's not working anymore. So you could invest on a voltmeter to check continuity for ohms and resistance, and you could get one that will also measure to check continuity when a wire is not broken. But if the wire is good, there's continuity and it's not broken. See, it's making sound. That means this metal is complete, it's not broken. Okay, so invest on those. You have lights. Don't forget about this fire extinguisher, and never use gasoline to clean parts. Again, thank you very much, and please don't forget to click the like, subscribe, the notification bell so that you get notified right away, and make a short comment as to how you like this presentation. Again, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy watching this presentation. And the next video that I will be making is on how to service your fully charged battery to maintain it fully charged, so even in an emergency, if you have to go in the middle of the night to go to the hospital, your battery will start the car. Okay? Thank you. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat, magandang hapon, magandang gabi, buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches to all my amigos and to everyone. Thank you. I salute you. Aloha.